Welcome everyone back to another episode of the Winning Edge Sports Podcast. I'm your host Patrick, and today I'm joined by my co-host Ben. Ben, different setup, but we're here.
Yeah, welcome, Pat. Yeah, it is a different setup over Zoom, but I guess you just have to work around it. And yeah, it's a good time, good episode to tune in. And yeah, let's get straight into it.
Yeah, exactly. So today we are joined by our third host, third guest, I should say. Actually, we've had Warwick Giddy and Cole Pierce now on, a former and current athlete. Today we got someone different. He's the behind the scenes man of the Australian Boomers. In my opinion, one of the most hardworking people that I know personally in the world of basketball. He's been to multiple Olympics and World Cups, been over to the NBA. The man I speak of is team manager of the Australian Boomers, Junior. Junior, thanks for hopping on.
Cheers, Pat. Ben, thanks for having me on the podcast. Really appreciate it.
No,
Cheers.
all good. Thanks for hopping on. So we'll get straight into it. Um, if you don't mind, just take us back to your childhood. What was that like?
And I guess it was a mixture of both. I think it was rugby league, really. I grew up in a rugby league community. And then also with basketball, being in my backyard, were both of the sports that I really had a big part of me growing up. Um, and both sports that I really love. So, um, you know, 43 years down the track, being able to just still keep that there and be in this space of professional basketball, it's been a blessing.
So, kind of just going with that, how did you really kind of get your start in the world of basketball?
Um, I think I was playing rugby league like semi-pro in Sydney, and injured my shoulder really bad, which was an old injury. And on my way back from Sydney, heading back home to Cairns, um, after withdrawing from playing league, I stopped into Brisbane Spartans at the time, who were playing the Seaball, and one of my coaches was there. So he invited me along to practice, and then it was it just all took off from there. I wasn't I was playing with the likes of like Gibson, Goulding, Tyson Demos, Greg Vanderjack, some big names that were have now since retired, and it was just a great opportunity to just be a part of that. But then there were games that I wouldn't suit up. So Big Joe, who's really the mentor that got me into this game of team managing. And shout out to what he does within the league. Probably he's been around the league, a long time. He got me in there, and it's been a journey from, I think it's what, my 16th year doing team managing.
Mm.
So it's been awesome.
So you started at the Adelaide 36ers as their team manager. Like, what was that experiences like, and like, how did you feel with that responsibility?
So I actually started at Gold Coast Blaze, was my first
All
NBL
right.
team.
Wow.
So I went from Brisbane Spartans, and then Joey Wright um, uh, finished from the Bullets and signed at the Gold Coast Blaze.
Sure.
And then since Big Joe was his team manager, Big Joe brought me on to be his assistant in Gold Coast. So 2008 was my first year in the league, managing, being a team manager or an assistant team manager, should I say. Yeah, so that's actually where it started.
Yeah.
Mm.
So you and Chris Golding go quite way back then, back to the Gold Coast days.
Yeah, we go back, man, 2005, I think,
Oh,
2004.
wow.
Adam
Wow.
Yeah.
Gibson, yeah, Tyson
Yeah.
Demos, yeah, a lot of those boys, we go back a long way. And like Gibson's, his family, and so is Chris. But Gibson's the godfather to my daughter.
Mm.
So yeah, he's been around. We've been around each other's family for a long time.
Yeah, no, good. And same as Chris. Um, so not after, but during your time with Adelaide, you then started being the team manager. with the Australian Boomers, which you have been for quite a while now. What's that entire experience been like traveling with the national team?
Yeah, it's been, been around Paddy and Joe and Delhi since '08. And Matty Nielsen, that would be the four that are still remaining in the Boomers from that group. Um, and it all started on the Gold Coast, just that opportunity to get into the Boomers. And it's been, obviously the program's shifted every year and grown every year, but it's been exciting to see, and especially when you're trying to push for a medal and you finish fifth or you finish fourth or you finish sixth, and then to get a bronze medal in Tokyo is definitely worth it. And obviously, hopefully we can run it back this year and get another medal. But we just have to, I guess the guys, we just have to knuckle down and really get into it.
Yeah,
So
and
you
so
just touched on,
you go back.
sorry. You just touched on that bronze medal with the Boomers back in Tokyo in 2020. What was that experience like? Like being from someone that's been to so many World Cups and Olympics, what was it like being on the team bench surrounded by like the coaching staff and all those like players like you mentioned, like Paddy and Joe and Delhi and that like you've finally got in there and like the clock's ticking down and like that you've won the bronze medal. What was that like?
Yeah, very emotional. I remember being across the court and having to just take a moment to see how far that journey had come, and to like walk away with that bronze medal as an Australian boomer and be part of history. Yeah, definitely emotional. I mean, you could have seen from Paddy's interview. I remember walking back in the locker room, and to my right, I think Joe was sitting out the front talking to Renee, and he was in tears because, they'd been doing this for so long. The highs and lows and coming so close and losing by, 1 or 2 points are going down, and then to get a medal, but it was definitely one of the best feelings. Should I say, like it was an unreal feeling, like just that experience of it, and and being able to try and get that, um, you know, just taken care of and embrace the whole moment was something special for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah, no,
and
I know for a fact being down here watching the team get that bronze, it definitely was special from our end, but even more special from your end. That's been a part of the team so long.
And so we drift our question to like how you got to the NBA. Like, what connections drove you over there? And on another question, like, of overlooking the NBL, like, how have you seen the global attention from US players wanting to come over to Australia, do you reckon?
I think the connection was through Joe in after Tokyo. I think he had got home. Um, we just finished and we're in COVID and lockdown in Brisbane. And Joe texts me and goes, "Junes, there's a call for you with the Utah Jazz. They're going to give you a call this morning." And I remember, I remember it being so early that I didn't catch on to his conversation or what he had said. And I was like, what do you mean? He goes, "You got to take the call. Like the Jazz are going to give you a call." So Eric Phillips, who was my boss at Utah, head of sports, he gave me a call, and I was on the call with him and Adam Clarker, who's one of the goats of equipment manager in the NBA, and it just all, and they weren't offering me um, if I wanted to apply for the job, they were actually just like, "Hey, James, this job's yours if you want it." So to have that call up after a bronze medal game, you know, um, definitely a dream come true. And then to be able to like get off the call and just go, "Wow, this is crazy!" Like I just got off the call with the Utah Jazz.
Hmm.
Yeah, unreal feeling. Got off the phone, still trying to figure what had just happened. But yeah, it was such a great opportunity, and I still have that connection there, which is great. Opportunity to go back if I want to take that. But I guess um, the biggest part too is, you know, the league's really strong here in the NBL, right? You know, and a lot more players coming out of the NBA wanting to play here. A lot more players around the world wanting to come and play in Australia. And it's not it's not a league to look down upon. It's definitely a league that definitely has a lot to give and a lot of great, amazing Australian players that play in it.
Hmm.
Yeah, definitely. So like what you kind of touched on, like what like the call was like getting like a message from Joe and saying like you're gonna have a call from the NBA and from the Utah. Just you spent some time over in the NBA with the Jazz, as you said. What was that overall like experience like going from the NBL back in like late 2000s to the Boomers and then over to the NBA? What was all of that like?
Um, Very surreal. The first couple of days coming in, and they definitely look after you. The the setup, the organization, and I went to the Jazz, so very family orientated, and very professional, great facility, a great group. I worked under one of the best equipment managers in the NBA as his
Yeah,
assistant. And then to share that with Joe and be there with Joe Ingles, who got me the job, um, unreal. I yeah, I can't thank Joe and Renee enough for the
yeah,
opportunity to have that foot in the door in the NBA and be able to be the first Australian to get a team manager job, equipment manager job in the NBA. And they don't employ from outside of the country, like in those
no,
roles. Like you
yeah,
have to be from the US. So um, to have that opportunity was unreal. Like something that I took away and learned so much from, and being able to come in and tweak a lot of things around the boomers and provide elite standard and elite environment for the guys and what they're used to, right? Because they're in the NBA,
yeah,
but like nearly 50, nearly 48 weeks of the year. So
Mm.
the
yeah,
other 4 weeks they're either in Australia training camp and then they're back out again. So
yeah,
you kind of
exactly.
got to create that environment. And the NBA does run a professional standard and how they operate. But then we just apply that to the boomers and we tweaked it to suit our culture and our style.
Yeah.
And and that's taken time to build on, and it brought success to obviously the Tokyo Olympics, and we were able to um, come away with the win on that one.
Mm.
Um,
Yeah,
so so that was definitely something great to be a part of.
yeah. What would you say like during your time with the Boomers? What would you say is like the most like special moment that you've been a part of? Probably apart from the Tokyo Olympics winning that bronze medal, like what would you say is like the most special moment you've been a part of?
I think the biggest thing is the family, right? It's a family environment, like a basketball family, and um, just a group that we've been around together.
Yeah,
Since '08. It's like Nielsen, Delhi, Joe, and myself are the only ones remaining. So that the Boomers is definitely a Boomers family where it's a it's a privilege to be a part of. But um, it's something that I cherish. Aside from winning, being able to take a bronze medal home with us and getting a gold medal at the Com Games, and a gold medal at the Asia Cup.
yeah,
Those are definitely part of the experience. The other part is just the camaraderie we have within the crew. So that's been special.
Yeah.
Mm.
So we might just wrap up now because I know you got a busy day ahead of you. So before we leave, we've asked both of our past guests this question. As someone that's in a different role to our other guests in Warwick Giddy and Cole Pierce, you're behind the scenes. Do you have a inspirational or motivational quote for anyone that wants to get into like the behind the scenes field of a professional sporting environment?
Yeah. One thing, for me, it's the mindset, right? It's one thing to be around the players. Like I've been around, big names. I've been around LeBron, Steph, Kyrie, KD, all in the same locker room. But I keep a professional mindset about it. And end of the day, they're another human being. So
Yeah.
I have to hold. Like I don't switch into a fanboy and I want to get photos. And like when you're behind the scenes, you got to get ready to work because the days are long. Like my days are 7 a.m. to 1 a.m., 2 a.m. every day. For the last 2 weeks, I've been in camp. For the last few days, we've been in camp. It's been those hours, So your mindset has to be, you got to be ready to serve and do whatever it takes to provide that service for the guys. And it's not for everybody. Like not everybody can handle those long hours and trying to keep that standard for 12 hours straight for 2 weeks. I'm not even. We still got another 5 weeks of camp of tour to go. So you got to maintain that for 7 weeks. So it's your mindset. You just have to have the right mindset. You have to have the heart and willing to serve and be around the right people and put the right people around you to get the job done.
Yeah. No, definitely well spoken there, Junior. So just as we wrap up, Ben.
Yeah. We'd just like to really thank you for coming on the Winning Edge Sports Podcast. And yeah, we just want to wish you all the best for Paris. And yeah, I'm sure me and Pat will be supporting you boys as the tournament goes on. So thank you for joining us.
Thanks,
Appreciate
Junior.
it, guys. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
No, all
Excited to
good.
get on the podcast. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Winning Edge Sports Podcast. I've been your host, Pat, with my co-host, Ben. Amazing guest in Junior today. You can listen to this episode and all episodes via YouTube or Spotify at the Winning Edge Sports Podcast, and you can check us out on Instagram at the Winning Edge Sports Podcast. Thank you.
Thank you.